Hi, you're all very welcome here tonight. So it's Thursday evening, so initially I just want you to imagine. Just relax and imagine. I want you to imagine if there was a way we could reduce greenhouse gas emissions by up to 12%, in addition to increasing crop yields by up to 200%. Not only do you not have to imagine this, not only does it exist, I have the answer right here on the table. And it's Irish-made and made from waste material. It's called biochar. Biochar is a carbon-negative soil enhancer made from waste materials and cooked in a really high-temperature, low-oxygen environment. But before we go to talk about that, I want us all to go on a journey. So we're going to go on a journey with a guide called James Orton. You mightn't have heard of him, not many people have. He's a little-known American geologist and explorer. And James wanted to explore the Rio Grande in South America. And the reason he wanted to do this is there was two very conflicting stories about this area. In the 1400s, explorers came back, and they said along the Rio Grande there was extremely fertile soil, there was millions of people living there, there was villages, there was economy, there was riches. But 100 years later, explorers came back and said, there's nothing there. There's no people, the soil is grey. And it was unknown for years whether the first lot of explorers were actually lying or had an entire amount of people actually just disappeared without a trace. So I want you to imagine we're traveling down the Rio Grande with James. There's actually no people. There's just trees. And the soil is quite grey. So it would appear that the second lot of explorers were speaking the truth. But James is a geologist. And he noticed patches of really dark soil. Not that interesting to most people, but to a soil scientist, this was very exciting. So this dark soil was so unusual that it had a nickname. It was called terra preta. That means dark soil. It was a fairly obvious nickname. But James brought this information back, and he was really excited about it. But it still took scientists another decade to figure out where this came from. And what they deduced was it was actually the refuge of 1,000 kitchens over 1,000 years. And what that means is the Amazonian Indians that had lived there, their recycling methods were really different to ours today. They dug a giant pit in the ground, threw all their food and agricultural waste into it, burnt it, and then covered it over. It was their means of waste disposal. When you burn something, it releases carbon dioxide into the environment. But if you burn something and reduce the amount of oxygen, it keeps the carbon into the soil. And that's what made that soil really, really dark, and it made it extremely fertile. So you might be wondering why that story is any use to us today, and how is it that it can save the world, as I slightly claimed at the very start. Well, biochar, as I said earlier, it's made from waste materials. It's carbon negative. And how it's made, it's baked in a really low oxygen, really high temperature environment. That's called pyrolysis. Literally, that means to pull apart by fire. And when you get biochar, it doesn't look that interesting. I'll get some for you here now. It doesn't look very exciting. It just looks kind of dirty. But in 1 gram of biochar, there's the amount of surface area that you'd find something the size of a basketball court. So there's a load of stuff happening in that biochar. And when you place it into the soil, it acts like a sponge. It pulls in nutrients, microorganisms, and water, and they usually get washed away. And it slowly releases that back into the soil. This increases the properties of the soil. But any plants that you actually plant in that soil, they get increased properties and increased yields. And studies that have been done have found an increase in yield from 15%, and in parts of Kenya as high as 200% increase in yield. And this is in a world where every 10 seconds a child is dying of starvation. So this is one really strong answer for food poverty. Another fabulous thing about biochar is it's made of waste materials. So in Ireland, we could make biochar from wood or from manure. But one of the lovely things about biochar, it can be made from local waste materials. So that might mean in Ghana, you might use coconut husks, or in Guatemala, you might use avocado pits. So you're using local waste materials to enhance local soil to grow local food. So you might be wondering why I got interested in biochar. In 2011, I went to work with a consultancy on an internship called Realise Sustainability. And at the time, Realise were doing a project with the Carbola Institute in University of Limerick and with Biochar Ireland, a Clare-based biochar company that actually provided the biochar for me here tonight. So we did a project looking at using different quantities of biochar in different types of Irish soil. And we did another project where we were working with the school in Wicklow, and on 4 raised beds using 6 different plants, we tested them using and not using biochar. And I actually pitched that project to the Ben & Jerry's Join Our Core competition, and I got to go to the finals in Uganda in 2012. And while I was in a small village in western Uganda, I actually saw people making biochar the exact same way the Amazonian Indians had done back in the day, by putting agricultural waste into a pit. And it's not just me and a few other people in Ireland interested in this. James Lovelock is the esteemed environmentalist and author of the Gaia theory. He's stated that man can save itself through the mass burial of charcoal. And the International Biochar Initiative brought out a report in March, and I was lucky enough to be a research intern in this report, to state there's 175 biochar projects going on all over the world. So it's not only me that's been bitten by the bug, and hopefully after today, a couple of you will as well. As well with me, I'm an engineer. I love a bit of efficiency. And I was reading an article by Hans-Peter Smith in the Ithaca Journal called 55 Uses of Biochar. Blew my mind, this is amazing. So I found out that biochar wasn't only useful for a soil enhancer, it could also be used in thermal insulation in houses. It could be used in making clothes. Here I have a water filter made from charcoal. It can be used in removing toxins from the body, removing poisons from the body. And even yesterday on Grafton Street, I bought deodorant and soap made from charcoal. So this one product made from waste materials that's carbon negative can keep your house warm, you warm, filter your water, keep you smelling fresh, and even keep your face smooth. So that's fairly fantastic. I'm trying to spread the word of biochar here today, but I don't want you to just take my word for it. I want us all to do an experiment here together. So I'm after making some seed bombs. They're just clay and compost, and they're full of seeds. And inside the pack here, I've got 3 of them. Some of them have biochar in them, and some of them don't have biochar in them. So either at the interval or at the end, I want the first 5 people who come up to me, I want you to take these home, plant them on your windowsill, and take pictures. And then upload the pictures using the hashtag #SecretSeedsBiochar. All the instructions are in the box. And we'll do our own TEDx experiment to see how well we can make it work. So Gandhi said, "Be the change you want to see in the world," so that we all have the potential to make huge change. And I think here tonight at TEDxTallaght, we can gather all the energy that we have and doing this biochar experiment, seeing what real change we can make in Ireland. And you know, we can do it with just a little bit of heart. Thank you very much.